everyone, welcome to yoga this week. I'm back at home, but it is beautiful and sunny, and these April showers sure have been making some May flowers, huh? Today we are going to be talking about two things, and they're connected. One is about plants, because it is spring, and in school we're talking about plants, and at home we started growing. These are beans, you can see right here. In 1.5 weeks, look at these babies, they really grew up high. So we're talking about plants and being connected to plants and being connected to the earth, and how that's important for people, not only physically for our food, but emotionally, how it's important to know where our food comes from and to maybe have some stories and some history around that. I spent last week, I was very fortunate to go to Hawaii. Just so you know, we had to be very careful, get COVID tested, and be very safe on our journey so we didn't get or bring COVID to Hawaii. They're being very careful, and we were fortunate that we were healthy to go. While I was there, I picked up this book called Ohana Means Family. And that's true. This book tells us how there's a plant and a food that they connect to their history. So we are going to start by reading that book and then talking about how we have a food like that with our native cultures here in Minnesota, and maybe how some of us possibly in our families have foods that have some tradition or some meaning that carries us to people in our past or our relatives from before, generations beforehand. So, okay, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to start with our breath, then we're going to go to our book, and then I have some poses that are spring poses. So some poses we have talked about, like tree and flower, that are the actual pose names, but some we're just going to pretend like poses that are actually called something different. They could also resemble something that happens in spring. So we'll go ahead and do that, make it kind of fun and connected to our April showers, which we've had all day today. I hopefully none come back while I'm still out here doing our yoga class. So let's go ahead and start. I think maybe 6 breaths today. Feeling kind of busy for some reason. So, all right, ready? We have the breath ball today. So spine nice and long from the top of your head until your tailbone. You can either be lying down, standing up, or sitting. All right, here we go. Big inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. 3, inhale and exhale. 4, inhale and exhale. 5, we'll inhale and exhale. And finally 6, inhale and exhale. There we go. Okay, friends. Now we're going to go ahead and read our book because it sets the stage for our yoga practice today. So Ohana means family. That is a Hawaiian word. I will do my best with the Hawaiian words that are in this book. I cannot promise that they will all be correct. Okay. Now, while I read this, friends, think if you can think of any other book we read this year about a culture that is connected closely to a food that's special to their culture. Think if you can make that connection. Okay. This is the poi for our Ohana's luau. This is the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. And this book kind of repeats itself like a poem. This is called the kalo, where they put the food and they grind it. And see, this is like a pestle. This has like a little bowl shape carved out of it where they pound and grind the starchy food. This is the mud that grows the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. This is the water, clear and cold, that covers the mud that grows the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. See how they're all standing in water? That reminded me of how wild rice in northern Minnesota is also grown in standing water like this. These are the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold, into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. So that means ohana's luau means for their family party. Their family party. This is the land that's never been sold, where work the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold, into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. Now these people are native to Hawaii, kind of like the people who live in Minnesota are Native Americans, the people who have lived here forever. So that's why they say the land has never been sold. They've lived on it for as long as they can remember. This is a stream of sunlit gold, flooding the land that's never been sold, where work the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold, into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. This is the rain in the valley fold that feeds the stream of sunlit gold, flooding the land that's never been sold, where work the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold. To make the poi, into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. This is the wind on which stories are told, that lifts the rain to the valley fold, that feeds the stream of sunlit gold, flooding the land that's never been sold, where work the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold, into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. This is the sun all bright and bold that warms the wind on which stories are told, that lifts the rain to the valley fold, that feeds the stream of sunlit gold, flooding the land that's never been sold, where work the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi for our ohana's luau. This is ohana, the loved ones we hold, who give thanks for the sun all bright and bold, that warms the wind on which stories are told, that lifts the rain to the valley fold, that feeds the stream of sunlit gold, flooding the land that's never been sold, where work the hands so wise and old that reach through the water, clear and cold. into the mud to pick the kalo to make the poi. See that vegetable there? For our ohana's luau. See how they all worked and worked and then ended a party or a luau for their whole family. They had all worked together for that food. And that food, that poi, is included in every party. They may have fancier foods at their party, but that root vegetable, that kalo, is considered almost a sacred food. It has been around with the Hawaiian people since the beginning, and they feel that it connects them to their ancestors. So in the book it said that whenever the poi is present, they set aside their arguments and disagreements with each other because it's considered disrespectful to fight in the presence of an ancestor, and that food is supposed to connect them to their ancestors. So I thought that was a pretty neat story. And then I started to think that Hawaii is so far away and it looks so different. It feels like just a whole world away from Minnesota. But can you think of what food I was thinking of that connected to this book? It was fry bread, right? Because the native people that make fry bread, and that bread to them is from corn. And the Native Americans, especially in Minnesota and around this area, have legends and tales and myths that tell their truth of how they're connected to corn. And corn was at the root of their existence. It kept them alive and nourished, and they had all sorts of beautiful tales of creatures and spiritual things that gave them the corn to survive in the land. And so that's how this is connected. Even though it's like a world away, both of these cultures are richly connected to a certain food, and they make it to celebrate their community and their history and to feel connected to each other and to the land. I was thinking also about, do we do that? Does my family do that, and Americans? And I think there are a few things, maybe not in the same way, but I know at Christmas, I had told the 5th graders a couple years ago, we always have a Polish dinner to celebrate our Polish history. I know my husband's family does some German food. And in another way, sometimes people who love fishing or hunting, they make a big production out of the hunting or the fishing. I know in the summer they go out on the boats and then they get a fish and there's a celebration. And it does feel that eating a fish, at least to me and my family, that eating a fish that's been caught and taken care of and thanked from their own hand that they had caught feels somehow different and just more connected to the earth than maybe something that we buy in a store. So it's just something to think about, guys, how we know where our food comes from, and we have a part in either growing it, how we have these beans here, or if we have a part in maybe killing it kindly and thanking the animal for its life and cleaning it, that somehow feels different than buying it at a store. So maybe that's something we could think about more as the season for growing vegetables and fruits comes in to be for spring here. All right, well, now that you've heard me talk for a long time, let's go ahead and do our yoga, huh? All right, so the first pose we're going to do is called seed. Now, on any other day, we would call this child's pose, but today we're going to call it seed, okay? So go ahead and get into your child's pose. You know what to do, sitting on your knees and feet and letting your head drop. If you would like to get into a teeny tiny seed, you can take the kind of child's pose where your arms tuck back by your legs and you really let your head drop down to the mat. And you're curled up just like a tiny little seed. From here, you could feel perhaps the air. The seeds, we know from second grade here today, that seeds need air and water and nutrients and light. From here, if you would like to come up, we can put our arms up, making a circle to be the sun. My dog Cloud decided to join me. She really likes to snuggle, so she's going to be here too. So making a sun arms, and you can have the sun go across the sky. So leaning to one side, hi Cloud. And then slowly, after you get a nice stretch here, you can feel the sun going all the way down, setting on the other side. Yeah. Okay. And maybe we'll do it one more time. Bring the sun back into the morning sky. And coming over into the evening sky. Like that. Okay, very good. Now, we'll go ahead and come to standing. From here, we're going to be some falling rain. Make sure you can see me. From here, friends, you could bring your arms up overhead. Just have your arms up overhead and then make your hands do like raindrops, huh? So bring your hands up overhead, nice and tall. I don't think you can see mine, but I'm stretching up high to the sky as if my rain is coming from the high in the sky. And then I'm going to bring the rain down to the ground and sweep my arms back up and rain down to the ground. Good. One more time, sweeping up, and once more, raining down to the ground. Good. Okay, friends, from here, we are going to be like a spring bird. I can hear, I wonder if you can hear. There's some birds calling right outside here. So we might call it airplane on other days, but today we're going to call it a flying bird, okay? So you know what to do. Shift your weight onto one foot. Your toe is balancing behind you on the other foot. We'll say your bird wings are out to the side here. Look at something that's not moving and fly your bird. I wonder if you can hear that other bird flying. Okay, we'll stay here as long as we'd like. When you're ready, you can let that bird land. You pat out your legs a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and do another bird on the other side. Okay? Other toe back, standing on your standing leg. Arms out wide. We'll go ahead and bring your back toe off the ground if you'd like. Or not. Ooh, this bird of mine is having trouble getting its spring wings. It's doing a little bit of tipping. It's okay, right guys? Okay. There we go. Okay. Go ahead and land that bird whenever you're ready. You can step it out. And now will be a tree. Maybe a tree that one of those birds landed in, huh? Okay, so go ahead and choose the leg that you'd like to stand on. I think I'll stand on my right leg first. And then find the variation of tree that you like. Okay, you can kickstand, bring your foot up or up to your thigh. You know, I realized when I wasn't teaching a class the other day, I was taking a class, I brought my thigh my foot way up high. So if you want, you can maybe practice that and see how that works for you. Just play around with it a little bit. It was kind of fun. Okay, hands to your heart. Finding something to look at. And go ahead and grow your tree branches when you're ready. Maybe the buds are coming out of your fingertips. It's like my trees are budding right now. Good job, guys. All right, let's bring our hands back. Bring both feet back to the ground. Standing on your other foot. Go ahead and find the variation of tree that you would like. Bring your hands up. Arms open nice and wide. There you go. Some blossoms. Okay. Bring your hands back. Okay, friends, now we are going to go back. I'm going to scooch down so you can see me here. We are going to do frog. So go ahead. You don't need to bend over quite yet. I'm just doing this so you can see me. Bring your feet wide and your arms inside your knees. And we'll call this frog today, huh? You can bring your hands down like this if you'd like. You really look like a frog. You could maybe, if you like, try to do a little jumps, huh? You try to do that. Yep. You can do, how about a couple more jumps, huh? There you go. Spring frog. I don't know if you can hear, we have a pond down by our house and I can hear the frogs. See if you can hear them. You can see, let's see, way down there, there's frogs. I can hear them at night, starting to chirp away in the spring here. Okay. Finally, guys, we'll do a few poses that are very familiar. First, butterfly, huh? We haven't done butterfly for a while. Let's bring our feet together and fly our butterfly wings. See maybe what would we land on today? Maybe a tree bud, huh? Okay. You can stop flapping, lean forward. Yep. See if you can smell a little tree bud or get some nectar. Okay. Finally, we'll do flower. Or I guess not finally, next. Remember how we bring our leg up, wrap our arm under, our leg goes in the crook of our arm. You can touch your feet together, bring your hands wide, or wrap them on your ankles. Be a blooming flower. The little bird just went in a hole. Okay. And finally, friends, if we would like to rest in the sun to finish up today, you can go ahead and lie back on your carpet or mat. Oh, my dog Cloud is barking at some horses going by. Cloud. Okay, you can go ahead and lie back. Imagine the sun on your face. Maybe you have a little dog or cat by you too. It likes to be by you when you're doing your yoga. From here, maybe we could just take a few deep breaths. Maybe you could do your belly balloon breath. You feel the belly balloon here blow up as you inhale. And come down. One more. And down. And our final big breath. And relax. Good, hi, Cloud. Okay, friends, you're welcome to stay lying down as we finish with our volcano breath or to come to seated. Okay, bring someone to mind who could use your good wishes today or your love. I think Cloud's volunteering for mine. Okay, so let's bring our hands together. Bring someone to your heart. Inhale. And send your love. Good job, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.